or healthy eating? What is the reason? Why do I think this is so? And then write it down and tackle it one step at a time. So small changes, incorporate small changes, not more than 2 changes. Even if it's 1 a week, that is great. You can have 1 a week, and if you think you did not do so well in it, then continue it the next week. After you and your family have mastered it, then you can move on to the next change, incorporating that. As Rachel said, I am a pharmacist. I am a mother of 3 kids. And why Nkechi cares? Why do I think that everyone needs to know about this? Why do I want to help mothers, help raise their kids to understand the value, the importance, and also teach them so they can teach their children? I recently completed an MPH, let's say 3 years ago, and some statistics basically was mind-boggling for me. 1 in 3 children in Texas are obese, and in the next year or 2, they're expecting, I think it's 1 in 2 or so. So such an amount that is mind-boggling. And unfortunately, people who are obese tend to have chronic conditions that come with it. Hypertension, blood pressure, and a host of others. Unfortunately, if it's not managed, that can lead to serious consequences when they're adults. And I'm like, okay, if I know this, why can't I help others be aware of this, and let us do what we can to prevent this? Yes, we understand their genetic fact. Let us try to do that. And hence, basically, this was birth. So I'm going to be talking about 4 tips. It might be more than 4, who knows, but tips to help us help our families eat healthier. So here's the first question that I ask, or that people might be privy to answer. Why don't we eat healthy? Sometimes no time. We moms, we wear so many hats. We're wives, we're moms, we are psychiatrists sometimes, we are coaches, we're drivers, we're employees, we're entrepreneurs. So we wear so many hats, and sometimes it's not possible, or in our mind we feel like there is no time to make something healthy. Let me just grab something from the store. It might be too expensive, is what some of us might say, or we're just overwhelmed. When we start to think of the process, we just get overwhelmed and then we just let it go. However, when it comes to no time, one of the best things we can do for ourselves is have a meal plan. There's someone I know who says that failing to plan is planning to fail. One more time, failing to plan means you've already planned to fail. So in a meal plan, in essence, it saves you time. And believe it or not, it does save you money. And for you to be able to do a meal plan, after you've done one, rather, that means you also have to do a plan for groceries. And when you do a plan for groceries and you've bought those groceries, the next thing to do, of course, is to have a meal prep. And then when we say no time, what about our gadgets and appliances? What about our gadgets and appliances? Those things help us to cut down on our cook time. How? When we talk about first a meal plan, some important tips about a meal plan is include everybody. That is your 2-year-old, your 4-year-old, your 10-year-old, your whoever else is in the house. Include them. And what do we mean by including them? That means you've got a person in your hands who doesn't like potatoes so much. Then let us try and be conscious of it, and let's not serve potatoes every day, because you probably have a war on your hands, right? So whatever the best meals are for your kids, let's try to incorporate that maybe 1 time a week or every other week. However, it depends on how probably that how expensive that meal is to prepare. But that is pretty much what I mean by be inclusive. Keep your meals simple. We're not talking about like a 5-course meal, just like some rice, some protein, some veggies, and you call it a day. Sometimes it might be soup that day, and that's okay. Recycle your products. If you use, let's say, bell peppers, you use onions and stuff to make your chili on Monday, we can still use the same bell peppers, the onions and whatnot to make some tacos on Wednesday. So that is what I mean by recycling products. And also when it comes to recycling products, what you had for dinner is okay for lunch the next day. There's no harm in that, okay? And also consider your busiest day. You're going to be coming back home at 7 or 8 o'clock. you don't have time to make meals for anybody at 8 o'clock. First of all, you will have some cranky kids. And that means probably everyone is going to be going late. So that is a time when you probably want to have the next bullet, have a backup plan. My backup plan is something you call bean cake or moi or beans. I always have beans in my freezer because whenever I cook beans, it's a big pot of beans. Whenever I cook pasta sauce, I make enough for like three or four bowls, containers, put them in the freezer. If I'm running late, I'm calling one of the kids, I'm calling my husband, babes, I won't be home early today. We're going to be eating some pasta or some beans or something that is quick on the go and nobody's waiting on you to cook. Add one new meal a day, a week rather. Like, if you're trying to be more, what is the word? Be more interesting or, increase the palate of your kids. Just maybe not more than one meal a day, a week rather, not more than one new meal a week. Dedicate time for grocery shopping, dedicate time for meal prepping. And when you do a meal prep, you don't have to do it by yourself. You can have your kids help to package it, to store it and whatnot. It should not be done only by yourself, Now, also, when it comes to the gadgets and appliances, my word, previously, like chicken, just trying to make some baked chicken in the oven might take you maybe like 40 minutes, depends on how well you like it. But the air fryer, 20 minutes, and you put it on 20-minute setting, and you're good to go. And guess what? While it's cooking for 20 minutes, you can be taking a shower or something else, or maybe like reading a book or finishing up homework. You don't have to look after it. That is the great thing about it. The crock pots, you can make a bowl of chili in the crock pot, and guess what? Even after it's done, it's warmed up, it stays warmed up for you. So this is what I mean by us making use of our gadgets and our appliances. We might say it's also too expensive, but guess what? In the long run, when you do make a budget, when you do have a meal plan, when you meal prep, you realize that you have saved yourself so much more in the long run. Feeling overwhelmed. I'm not a psychologist. I'll leave that to Michelle and whatnot. But sometimes it's important for us to unpack this feeling of being anxious and having feelings of anxiety around meals or healthy eating. What is the reason? Why do I think this is so? And then write it down and tackle it one step at a time. So small changes, incorporate small changes, not more than 2 changes. Even if it's 1 a week, that is great. You can have 1 a week, and if you think you did not do so well in it, then continue it the next week. After you and your family have mastered it, then you can move on to the next change, incorporating that. Now, so here are some things to consider in your journey to healthy eating, both you and your family. Incorporate more fruits and veggies throughout the day. Several things I can say about this, but because of time, I'm just going to limit it to just a few things. First of all, fruits and veggies eaten, they increase your fiber. Fiber helps to keep you fuller. When you're fuller, you're less likely to snack on your chips and whatnot. When you snack on chips, when you snack on candy and whatnot, they instead make you get hungry earlier. And when you're getting hungrier, the things you want to pick, it's not healthy food, it's the unhealthy ones as well. So just keep that in mind. Include the kids in all that you're doing. If they're going to help to cut the veggies, because sometimes there's something in a kid's brain that tells them, you made this, I want to taste this, I want to eat this. And guess what? Quality time. You get to spend time with them, asking them about how their day went. It might, even if it's just silence, but there's something about all these bodies together and doing stuff together. It doesn't only have to be you guys sitting together to watch a movie or a book, but actually cooking or even eating together. It's really a time of communication, of interaction and bonding. Have your pantry essentials, your pantry and your fridge essentials. I can tell you what my essentials are, and then you can build yours based on what you guys like. Mine are lemon, mine is pepper, mine is olive oil, mine is sweet mini peppers, mine is onions. Maybe tomatoes once in a while. Once I have this, I can pretty much make anything. I can make beans with these things. I can make a quick pasta with this. I can make a quick stir fry with this. I can make so much with these essentials. Once you have this in your fridge, even if you're so busy and you forgot to do groceries yesterday, there should be something, some dry food or something in your fridge or in your pantry that you can quickly whip up into a meal in about 15 minutes. Another way to incorporate a healthy habit is to choose to serve water at meal times. Choose to serve water at meal times, and then also really invest in reusable containers, such as your water bottles. Your water bottles, if you're going out, even if it's a quick trip to the grocery or a quick trip to your kids' baseball game or basketball game, get you some water in a bottle, because most times you don't realize it, oh, they're thirsty, and then you stop by this store, stop by this place to go get this or that. But pack those snacks, and of course, to pack up snacks, for the drive or for wherever you're going to, you need those reusable containers. In summary, incorporate a meal plan, incorporate a budget if you can, incorporate meal prepping in your home. Add fruits and veggies throughout the day. So it doesn't only have to be with breakfast, with lunch, or with dinner. If they're hungry between meals, let them reach instead for carrots. Let them reach for some veggies. Let them reach for fruits instead of chips and whatnot. Use kitchen appliances to help you save your time, and incorporate gradual changes. It could be switching from sweetened drinks to unsweetened drinks. It could mean, oh, this person doesn't like water at all. Then maybe add some strawberries or add some cucumbers and eat something to give it some flavor, even if it's lemon they like in their water. Let's go ahead and start with those small changes. And let's say by chance, you guys are a Coke family as in diehards. Switch from 5 cans a day to 3 cans. And when you've mastered the 3 cans, go down to 1 can. And when you've mastered to 1 can a day, try switching to teas. Use your fruit teas, put some honey in it. That helps with the sweet cravings. And that is how, you can build a pattern of healthy eating. And also, I know I didn't put this in there, but you know what? Give yourself some grace. Just because you didn't do well this past week does not mean that you should now just go off the wagon, but pick yourself up and try again. Keep trying again. Give yourself room for grace. Give yourself room for forgiveness. Also, nothing about saying that you cannot enjoy sweet treats once in a while, but because the ones out there in the store are filled with so much preservatives and things to make them last longer on the shelf, try to incorporate you baking more of the sweets at home, because it's usually more than likely healthier for you. Thank you. You can reach me up at Nkechi Cares Instagram and also at YouTube. Thank you for the opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Obo. It does feel a little weird saying Miss Obo, just by the way, and she knows why, because I don't usually address her by her last name outside of professional setting, but it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for that insight. So one question, what about the taste bud of a child who wants to eat only bread or play with the food?
Who wants to eat only bread or play with the food?
Yes.
The way I have handled mine in my setting is, I would say, you want bread? So maybe I would tell them, okay, if you eat this amount of food, then you can have bread. Sometimes we have to be hard. I heard a psychologist who said that, you know what, your kids know when they're hungry, that your kids will not starve themselves to death. We just have to be actually the adult and the parents and say, no, if you want this, then you've got to do this. And then sometimes maybe because a kid has said, oh, I don't like this, then we don't try it anymore. I remember one of my kids didn't eat eggs for like the first 2 years of his life, but I just kept offering, and now he eats eggs. So it just really takes a gradual process and us having patience. And then honestly, ask those questions. How we're talking about communication. Why don't you like this? I have a kid in my house who you might term a picky eater, but he's more about texture. He doesn't like grainy things. He's more like a smooth eater. So honestly speaking, there's a meal I make called with blended beans. While my other kids would eat like regular beans anyhow, he might eat the beans if it's like in a taco format or in a burrito format. Or he wants it a bit softer just because his palate, he just doesn't like things hard or crunchy or whatever. I understand him. So I try to make his food maybe a bit softer. And it does not mean like I'm, it's just who he is. Just who he is. And I'm fine him eating beans in another way that suits his palate. Right? Or I don't like to see red stuff. I blend it all up and add something in it, and he doesn't know that he's still eating the same mushrooms and everything in it. So it's just that. so it's just such ways. I think we have to be not only psychologists but also detectives. And it might seem like it's hard work, but it's just us trying to understand. Not that we're trying to cater to all their needs, but there are some things that we can do with not so much of trouble in us that the other kids don't mind as well, and that even makes it better. There was one more question you had. What was it? The follow up? I think
that if they play, if in the case of a toddler, I'm guessing that plays with food.
Okay, now honestly, an 18-month-old sometimes does play with their food. So it depends on how old you are. I'm not expecting a 10-year-old to play with their food. But like, yeah, you're like 9 months, between 18 months. I mean, as far as I try to get, as far as you're eating most of it, then, and most times when they're playing with it, sometimes it's that they're full, they're not hungry. Or maybe it's a food they don't particularly care for. But if a kid is hungry, more than likely they don't play with their food unless we offer them something that they did not like. So I think it's time for, that would mean us putting us on our investigation hats. Why is he playing with his food? Does he not like that food? Is he full really? Did we just give him a snack and then giving him food to eat? He's probably full. There's probably a reason why he's playing with his food, and that's something we should address first. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The palate, the taste bud, and just checking to find out, like, I like when you said be a detective. It's not really, as parents, and I guess Michelle too, grandparents, and for anyone else here that may be grandparents, it's important for us to not like beat them down for it, but like you said, inquire more as to why do they like one versus the other. Okay.